I don't want to touch it. I don't want to touch it. That's what she said. Everything else is getting better except you. You are the reason people think men are liars. Every time you open your mouth, you use it to lie. Yo kwena mu news muri fi energy crisis. Mwana bakwalesa twafwa. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday. This is what we're doing. We've got we've gone past 14 episodes, haven't we?
We've been doing this for 3 weeks.
Okay, great. Okay, awesome. Welcome. And welcome back for those of you that are joining us again. Welcome to those of you that are coming for the first time. Now, I know that, this podcast thing, it has been happening for like 3 weeks now. So not everybody understands what we're doing. So I'm going to try and explain it in a bit before I get into the news. So this podcast is a news podcast. And it's just my mischievous ways that make me, add commentary and all of that. But it's like a news podcast. And we're basically just keeping you up to date with what's going on in terms of news. Why am I talking about this? I saw a comment and I thought, it was well written and it was pretty long. And, they were saying, how I should do my own podcast where I'm doing interviews and all those things. I get that. And I want to do that kind of podcast, but that's not this podcast. This podcast is what's happening in a day. And that's why we say what a day it is. So we're basically just trying to catch you up for the news junkies. What's going on. Let's have a bit of a conversation on what's going on in the country. And we get some context from the people that have been covering these stories. That's what this podcast is all about. Now that we are all up to speed, welcome. My name is Dingindaba Jonah Buyoya. What do I have for you today? You may wonder. Well. What I have for you today is the reason why your phone battery is low at the moment, and why you're not stocking your fridge as much as you previously did, and why you're not watching as much TV as you used to, and why you're not staying home as much as you would want to. Load shedding. But also, President HH is among over 40 African heads of state who are in China. And I'll be delving into this. I mean, good. But there's a thought that I want us to explore when we talk about, this cooperation that Africa has with the rest of the world. So let's get straight into it. Zambians shocked by power outages as more businesses crumble. So Zambia's energy crisis has continued to devastate livelihoods. Many business enterprises, especially those who need refrigeration for food storage, are recounting their losses in the business. Butcheries and bakeries are also among the most affected, as ZESCO can only supply 3 hours of unassured power to residential areas to which even many businesses are connected. Let's take a look at this and, we'll be back.
The long hours of load shedding have caused a number of inconveniences across the country, affecting households, businesses, among others. In Chipata City, traders at Chipata Market are frustrated with the frequent power outages and are demanding a fair share of the limited power supply. They are also calling for the installation of a generator at the market to provide a reliable source of electricity.
Us as Baba men, we depend on power. Sometimes it is restored at night. How can we do business at night? ZESCO is not consistent with road shedding, he says. We are suffering at Kapata Market. Majority of the people who are doing salon, barber shop, butchery, and other businesses are finding it hard to do business here. Power is not assured. Even the 3 hours they are talking about, it's not assured to us. Let them bring the generators which they were talking about.
A restaurant operator in Mansa has implored the government to devise means that will address the electricity crisis the country is facing. Mrs. Astrida Chungu indicates that most of the relish is going bad as the 3 hours of power supply is not sufficient to freeze the relish.
All essential commodities that help businesses to thrive are quite expensive right now. We are incurring losses and we can't manage. We are calling upon government to find ways to address this situation. The electricity challenge that we are facing is making us incur losses.
In Dollar on the Copper Belt, Edward Perry of Maichane Butchery says the increased hours of load shedding will suffocate small businesses that depend on ZESCO power.
Load shedding
has really affected us because as a butchery, we've even failed to continue ordering our products as we used to. So that to order
Lucky Mulea, a restaurant operator in Mongo, says restocking on a daily basis has become costly.
We no longer buy things in bulk. You can't buy things in bulk because you don't have a proper storage. You buy things in bulk, then things will go to wastage. Then it becomes a challenge of running a business in day to day because we have a high expense in terms of transportation. Like for instance, you are in here where we are, we don't have the other places like where we could buy meat and whatever. So even though suppliers are there, but they can't supply us in what? In numbers or maybe in large volumes or quantities because we don't have proper storage facilities because of lack of power.
With the fridges looking like that which is about to be sold, households have equally stopped buying food in bulk for the fear of wastage due to long hours of load shedding. For Diamond News, Christine Mosole.
Before I talk about this, I want us to go even further and start putting examples, right? Norbert Kunda, for example, owns a butchery and he lost products worth about 11,000 kwacha because his area apparently goes without power for about 3 days, and it's a butchery. So let's take a look at what he has to say.
Life has continued to be unbearable amid the energy crisis faced by the country currently. This is evident everywhere, more especially businesses such as butcheries that rely on the supply of power to run effectively. Norbert Kunda is one of the affected butchery owners whose relish worth over 11,000 kwacha has gone bad.
Small business people in these communities, we are being killed. Our businesses, our capital, our small capitals are going down. Our merchandise are going bad. For instance, I bought just 2 days ago, I bought 2 bags of booger fish, which is 40 kgs. And the power stayed for almost three days without power.
He strongly calls on the government and ZESCO to prioritize its own citizens and stop exporting power.
We urge the government to be doing the right thing. The issue of load shedding, we had load shedding in 2017. It never affected us this much. It never affected us to this extent. Get surprised on how governments can come and make decisions to say they get to be exporting electricity when they know that we are going to have a deficit of water and the power generation cannot be at the same rate. They are failing to withdraw the export and prioritize the local economy.
Currently, Zambians are being supplied 3 hours of electricity, in some instances going for days without power. If this continues for a long time, it has the potential to cripple many businesses. Victoria Kayeye Yambani, Diamond News.
This is not as far as it goes. Ensuring the availability of medication is important for universal health coverage, Vision 2030. And many rural parts of the country are, having have always not had enough access to healthcare facilities. But this is also now being a bigger problem because of unstable electricity supply. And we've got an example in Mansa where facilities grappling with vaccine storage because of power outages. And we're just trying to paint a picture for you on how bad the load shedding problem is. So let's take a look at this.
Located 25 kilometers from the district health hospital, the Fimpulu Rural Health Center sits on the outskirts of Mansa district along Mansa Chembe Board. As the country continues to struggle with load shedding, such facilities are also severely affected by power cuts. The facility in charge has shared the challenges they face due to load shedding.
Well, in fact, we have reduced the amount of vaccines which we are ordering because of that challenge of not having a backup power. Because previously we used to order for a month. Because this time around we just maybe order weekly, because to avoid some wastages.
He highlights that the center often experiences shortages of vaccines because they receive them in small quantities and face storage issues.
Challenges in distance transport, because from here to the district farmers, it's far. So find that at least the transport you don't have. Maybe if you go there, you say no, we'll come tomorrow. So
the ministry has outlined the government's plan to address these challenges.
There is a program that is running now with Gavi and government where we are doing whole facility solarization. Okay. Yeah, there is, if this is assessed, then the whole facility, there will be a solar system installed to do the whole health facility, including vaccine fridges and everything. But he will not have the vaccine fridges here. They are at the district. What he has is a cold chain from the vaccine fridge that comes in cooler boxes, because he's at the service delivery point.
With these efforts underway, the community can look forward to better healthcare services and a brighter future for all. Kalombe Kapambwe, Diamond News.
So over the last few days, I've also been thinking, how did previous governments and how have successive governments in Zambia been trying to deal with this energy problem, if at all been trying to deal with this energy problem? And I say this because I really wonder how we deal with problems if we keep going back to the same solutions. That's why I was trying to call Dora, because she was chief government spokesperson, and she's pretty open to talk about certain things. So I'm just going to try and call her. We'll talk a bit about her book, and I'll tell her that she's the lady of the moment. Her phone is ringing. I think it's not ringing. No, it's not. Oh, it's ringing. It's ringing. It's ringing. You can hear it ringing. But she's a very busy woman, so... Oh man, so sad that she didn't pick up. But let's go. Let's move on. Republican President Hakainde Hichilema is among 40 heads of state that attended the summit of Forum on China-Africa Cooperation (FOCAC) in Beijing, China. And the U.S. The Chinese President Xi Jinping is pledging over $50 billion to Africa and over 1 million jobs to Africans on the continent. Let's take a look at this.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has officially opened the 2024 summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC, that has been attended by dozens of African leaders, including President Hakainde Hichilema. The Chinese president has pledged $50 billion financial support in Africa.
To the 10 partnership actions, the Chinese government will provide 360 billion yuan, or about $50 billion of financial support through the next 3 years. This breaks down into 210 billion yuan, or about 29 billion US dollars of credit line, 80 billion yuan, or about 11 billion US dollars of assistance in various forms, and at least 70 billion yuan, or about 10 billion US dollars of investment in Africa by Chinese companies.
In the next 3 years, China will work with Africa to take turn partnership actions for modernization to deepen China-Africa cooperation and spearhead the Global South modernization. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, who represented the southern region in his address with other African leaders, believes that the summit reflects China and Africa's shared desire for modernization, development, and progress on the African continent, as reflected in the turn partnership actions on modernization to be undertaken by China and Africa, as announced by President Xi.
If we are to build a future that is people-centered, development-oriented and inclusive, we need to work in a spirit of cooperation and collaboration. China has a long history of friendship and solidarity with the people of Africa over many centuries.
In that spirit, I would advise the summit agenda to give special focus to work in the following 4 aspects. First, continue to promote agricultural development and modernization to eradicate poverty and realize greater sovereignty in food.
Our presence here today reflects the solidarity and commitment to building a shared future of progress and prosperity.
And United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres highlighted some of the priorities in the modernization plan.
China's remarkable record of development, including on eradicating poverty, provides a wealth of experience and expertise.
The summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation facilitates discussions, agreements, and cooperatives projects between China and African nations. Das Johnny, Diamond News, Beijing, China.
So, I did say that I have a couple of things to say about this. Now, it seems, and when you look at the pace at which the African continent is developing, it seems everyone, and I've seen people say this also, everyone has got a plan for Africa, except Africa. Like, everyone else has got a plan for Africa, except Africa. Look, I completely understand that China is a global superpower. But just imagine one country summoning 53 countries. Saying, all of you, come and discuss with us. What? What are we? Like, honestly speaking, like all of you guys come, let's discuss how I would deal with you. And all of them go there with their wives and I really, I completely understand. The dilemma is that Africa is a poor continent and all of us are looking at leeching from somewhere where we're going to grab it back. But it's kind of long overdue, Look, this kind of conversation, and it's funny. I saw President Paul Kagame at FOCAC. President Paul Kagame once said to be fair, he was talking about aid. But it's a similar question, I would say. How come such discussions can only be had about Africa? You are not going to call countries in South America and summon them like that. European countries and summon them like that and have a conversation. It's only Africa. It's only Africa where you're going to call all their heads of state and they will drop whatever they're doing and they will go there. Because it's like a begging opportunity. It's not in the form of aid now. It's just begging in the East, and And we hate having these conversations. Like, we really hate having these conversations because it's like, you can't. People are leaders and they're very smart and like, yeah. But like, we also need to start challenging some of these decisions that we're making as a country, as a continent rather. And how can 40 different leaders, as if Africa is the country, and man, there's no saving us. And I've said this before, like, there's really no saving us. And I can imagine, I mean, even if I was to be president today, I'd probably go. Because that's what the system requires, that I go. But like, colleagues, how come Africa, like, what kind of people are we? How come we can't find solutions for anything? I mean, literally, like, we can't find solutions for anything. When you think about anything you can think of, the things I'm wearing on me here, I probably don't have anything that was made in Africa. Like, seriously, I probably don't have anything that was made in Africa on me. I'm the only thing that was made in Africa. Yeah, like, I'm not even sure these chairs were made in Africa. They were probably, I mean, what is wrong with us? What do we think about? Like, what do we think about when we wake up in the morning?
I had this thought that Africans like what's straightforward. They said we can't be far from the water because we need to fetch the water, and the white people go like, I can be far from the water and just make a system to bring the water to me.
We're very complex, and I don't know, sometimes I think to myself, maybe we're forcing, when we talk about development, for example, maybe we are forcing a foreign concept, like, maybe Africans don't have a problem with the way they live. And we keep on shoving down a new form of living on them, which they don't want. Which, they're like, no, we don't have a problem with the way we're living. So why are you trying to change it? We're not thinking of changing it. And somebody else somewhere is thinking that, this is not a way of living. And, they come and tell us, hey, you can't live like this. And we try to change it. And they try to change it. And we try to follow how they... Because we never change things on our own. Like, we really never change anything on our own. It's... What a mess. We really stress ourselves. No, you guys stress me. You stress me too much.
Yeah, African, bro.
I am, but like, right now I'm complaining. So I gotta get myself out of the equation. But like, we really need to do better. And when you think about all the solutions that, let me give you an example as I conclude. I had an interview with the Minister of Youth recently. And he was responding. I asked him some of the solutions that government is putting in place to deal with young people, young entrepreneurs and their businesses, because they are having no access to electricity. He told me, he explained to me what they're doing. He showed me a solar sewing machine that was in the office on the corner. It was for young people, you're supposed to go there. He gave me an example. He said, bobbing machines for young people. And I thought to myself, and I was thinking as he was talking, I'm like, isn't this like part of the problem? Like, that's what you think about young people, that they're just barbers and they are tailors. Which is so typical. That what do you think about young people? That they are tailors because they are fashion industry. They're barbers. It's like young people have haircuts. And they're singers and artists. So then when you get these things, then you've empowered the young people. So I was talking, I was thinking, as he was talking, I'm like, so what about the innovative ideas? Like, what are you doing about innovative ideas, if any? You're just thinking about the barbers. Like, these are the things, this is where you see young people. Like, this is where you see them. You know, a shop, a booth for Airtel or MTN or Zamtel or whatever. That's where you see them. When you look at an organization and you are talking about where young people are going to be employed, you are thinking of internship. Like, you know, we should offer them internship, the young people, the qualified young people. When you look at the organization, where are the young people going to be? No, these young people should be office administrators. It's just the guy that's going to be sent around the office. That's what society, that's what the system thinks about us as young people. That's all we can do. You think about young people and empowering them, buy them taxis. Buy them taxis and they should be driving Yangos. That's the empowerment that's there. But I think to myself, what about the big ideas? What about the big ideas? The government is looking at bringing these electric vehicles and all those things. What about the young people that are making charging stations for EVs? Where are they? Where are they? What is the funding they're getting? Where are they? Zambia is having an energy crisis, and yet we can't even manufacture batteries. Where are the young people being empowered with such innovative ideas? When you think about young people and, agriculture, then they will be told to bundle themselves up in a group of 10 and start rearing chickens. I'm just saying, that's how we see ourselves. Because why are we not discovering the young people that are going to do amazing things? The ones who are going to make electricity from feces. I'm just saying, hey, what about those ones? The crazy guys. That's what we need. Anyway, that's a wrap. I should be done. But I look forward to one day when an African country will summon global superpowers. I don't think it's even possible to get four global leaders in one African country at the same time. I'm doubting. Like, you've got the president of China, the president of the US, the Russian president, and the Indian president in one African country at the same time. Let's wait and see. Anyway, Zambia, what a day.